So we are technically on time, but I'm just going to give another 30 seconds for people to join. Okay, so I suppose we can start. So welcome everyone. This is the delivery AMA. I am Mayra Cabrera. I am a backend engineer for the delivery team. And this AMA in particular is dedicated for the extension of the maintenance policy. Now for context, we are delivery are working to extend the maintenance policy so we can cover up to the past 3 versions. And as part of this change, we are running an internal pilot of 1510 that is going to enable stage teams to merge into the stable branches while release managers prepare patch releases for the current versions. I have added some links to offer some guidance. So they are in the agenda, and we can start with the questions. Now, if someone can take notes, that would greatly appreciate that. So the first question is from Tong, who I think it's a bit early for him or late for him. So Amy, can I ask you to please verbalize his question?
I can do that.
Thank you.
So Tong has asked, how will backport policy change for bugs?
Yeah, I think this is a very good question. First of all, I think what we want is to give developers some sort of early access over what can be backported and in what versions. And this is what we mean when we say that we want to empower stage teams. In this iteration, what we want as delivery is for developers to have more control over what changes can be included in a patch release, because we delivery team are not like in the best position to decide what should be backported and in what versions. Stage teams are better positioned for this because stage teams are more knowledgeable about their features, are more knowledgeable about the bug fixes that need to be backported and in what version should be backported. Delivery, or the role of delivery in this, is to provide the tooling and to enable other teams to do the backporting themselves. Sam, I think you're on the call. Yes, you're on the call. I don't know if you want to expand my answer with something.
No, I was just dropping a link in there because we've had some discussion around that on the issue. So if you want to refer to that and comment on that issue so we can keep the discussion going in that thread, that would be a good place to engage.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
Verbalized part of Tong's question as well, but I think we may have covered these as well, which is, do we always require backports, or based on severity? And I think related is, when we backport, do we always backport 3 times? So I think that's all covered by the answers, but just in case.
Yeah, I think this was covered. But if not, Tong, please let us know and we can continue async. But I'm also curious.
Just also make a little mention, because I think that one thing we will still have is going to be the backports exceptions policy. So that will still exist to catch everything that's outside of any of the maintenance policy extensions. That will continue to be based on severity. The same process as we currently have with the request issue will still exist. So that will be running alongside.
Awesome. Thank you, Amy. I'm also kind of curious about what are the what other people think about this change. I see that we have some backend engineers here in the call, and also it seems that we also have some people from product or other people in the sales side. I don't know if they want to add something about this. All right, I'm going to take the silence as a no. Everything is crystal clear.
Well, we'll also have feedback issue, right? So I think if anyone has thoughts later, async, or as we go into the actual using this policy, then this isn't a one-time thing. So,
for sure.
Drew is also not on the call, so let me just verbalize Drew's question as well, which is, around the fact that I guess like whether things are going to be, in fact, maybe we didn't answer that. Did we answer the question of when there is a bug fix, is there an expectation that this will always go into all three versions, or is it just going to go into the one that like a stage group chooses? How does that get decided? And this question is the follow-up, which is like, is there a judgment call involved here? Like, who gets to make the decision?
Yeah, for sure. It is also a great question. I think this is kind of a business question, and it is a product organization decision. It should be made based on a combination of the engineering manager, the product manager, and the stage team to decide what should be backported and in what version. We are giving the ability for stage teams to do it in the 3 past versions, and then the stage teams can take the decision of what bug fixes should be backported. Okay.
Well, I
so
think,
I'm
Myra, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
I think there's also a side
for sure.
effect of all of this that we never had before, which is now even the wider community can contribute backporting fixes. So this is something that we didn't had so far, right? Because we had those things about labels, and we were always running a single patch release for the current milestone. But now if you are a customer that you're running 2 versions behind and you deeply care about a specific bug that is already fixed, nothing prevents you to create the backport assigned to a maintainer. And then when we run the patch release, that fix will be in.
Yeah, for sure. That is a nice and powerful side effect of this. Thanks, Alessio.
Sure. So let me verbalize Drew's question number 2, because I don't think, check. No, it's still not cool. Which is, did we get customer feedback that led to this? It seems like a better new bug experience for self-managed users that won't have to upgrade. Did anything specific lead to the change in backport policy, like setting aside all the delivery mechanics? So I have an answer which I've added, if anyone wants to jump in, which is like, yes, this like has been a long running discussion around what is the right policy to have to meet our customer needs, basically. So I've linked in the issue, which is fairly old, but has quite a lot of interesting nuance around what is the right level, like what requests have we had for extending it. And it also includes the actual decision to make this extension. Cool. Shall I ask my question?
Yeah, please. I think we can continue with your question.
So I know there's sort of 2 parts to this change we are making. And the first one coming up is actually a process change, mostly, I guess, affecting developers. But could you just give us a bit of an overview of actually what this new developer process is going to look like?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks. So I pasted some links about what I'm going to say, so it is there. But basically, the current process that we have so far is that if someone wants to backport something, they need to add this handy label about pick into the version. And then release managers, when there is the time, they kind of collect this merge request and then prepare the whole process of doing a patch release. Now, starting with 15.10, what we want is to move some of that responsibilities to the stage teams as a way they can self-serve. And what they can do is that if they want to backport a bug fix, they are going to open up a merge request into a stable branch. They need to use a stable branch template. Basically, in this template, we have some checklists that we need to validate the bug fix has been deployed to GitLab.com. That is actually a bug fix, that it is not a feature. Per the maintenance policy, we cannot backport features. And also one important side effect, or one important thing to mention, is that we have the package and test pipeline, which is a differentiator from all the merge requests in GitLab.com. So we need to make sure that the package and test finishes. And if it fails, quality engineers review the failures, because executing the package and test is a way for us to actually guarantee that the code changes are compatible from the quality side. Yeah, I think very broadly, that is the difference. Of course, this is a new process, and we are waiting for feedback from developers about how this process feels like. And if you have any questions or feedback, please put it in the issue.
And even to build on that, maybe where previously we might have taken a stance on, right, we can get that backport into the previous version, but beyond that, we may have to reject because there's not kind of the time in the day to do that. Giving that ability back to the stage teams to be able to own those backports, decide where, you know, those bug fixes are feasible to introduce. I think that's going to, you know, make your life a lot easier rather than having to, you know, ping Myra, ping Steve, ping Alessio. Can we get this in? What about this? Here's all the context. Try and understand it because I want it in the next day. So hopefully that should help improve things and make it a lot smoother to transition those bug fixes into those stable branches.
There is also another important benefit of this, which is in the current process, the one we are running today, everything get picked and prepared to merge at the time of the release. So people experiencing this process, they may have received pings from the bot saying, we are going to release a package. We're going to do this in a couple of hours and your contribution doesn't apply. So please fix it now, which is kind of impossible, right? So we end up running against time. While here, everything happens before, right? So when you as a stage team developer prepare this, you have the control end-to-end over the pipeline, the validation, you know that it applies, that does what is expected. And once it's merged, it's there. So it will be included in the next package. And we are also working, I mean, we backported one of the part this morning. We're also working on the release environments, which are an interesting new change. It is related to this, but is not part of the extension per se. What we are doing, that we are creating 3 long-running environments, one for each supported stable branches, so that when you backport your fixes, even before the package is ready for releasing, you will have it live on an environment. So you can actually go there, validate, and do a check that is actually working as expected. So we never had this before. So these are all good improvement.
Yeah, that is going to be super handy. Awesome. So Drew, I see that you are now on the call. I don't want to point fingers at you, but we have answered your questions. So can you just please let us know?
Drew, right? Yeah, it's a different Drew.
No, it is.
No.
Oh,
Yeah. No, it's
Different Joel.
No.
It's me. That's
yeah. He has 2 personalities, so that's a different one.
Okay,
No,
got
but,
it.
Yeah, just to confirm that we have answered your questions, and if you take a look at the notes, they are there, and just please let us know if that is enough.
Yeah, no, I did, and it makes sense to me, especially, I mean, in a, you know, this seems like it's still kind of, you know, it's a pilot phase. It's kind of open to feedback. If the PM and the EM and the team are having trouble making a decision, then there'll be some process feedback for sure, and we can worry about it then.
In many ways, Drew, this is similar to the existing backport extension request, because what happens on that is when we find a bug and there's kind of a severity agreed, it goes back to the product manager, who presumably then discusses with the stage group to actually decide, like, how significant is this?
Right.
I think this is going to be a pretty much the same conversation of how significant, like how much effort do we want to put into fixing it, like for the different versions.
Right. Which, and I mean, to the point that Alessio was just making, that conversation should hopefully be a lot easier when we're not doing it like everybody at once, 4 hours before the release or something. Like, you know, that'd be so. Yeah, here's hoping.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you, Drew.
Yeah.
And Myra, could you just give us a little overview on like kind of like dates and what we can expect? Because I know we're moving into like the internal rollout phase. Like what does the sort of rough timeline look like?
Yeah, thanks for that question. So we are entering on the internal pilot on 15.10. So we are going to run this internal pilot along 15.10, and then on 15.11, we are going to assess the results and see what does it look like, the feedback we have received, everything, all the metrics that we have. And then if everything goes right, we hope to sort of extend the maintenance policy on 16. But this is like what we are targeting. We are not committed yet to that date.
And
okay.
when you say that we're running in the pilot in 15.10, you mean for the 15.10 patch releases, right? So like it'll be
Yes.
during the 15.11 milestone period that we release 15.10 patch releases.
Yes, good call out. It is after the 15.10 publish date, during the 15.11 release cycle. So yes, this gets confusing. But yeah, starting on March 22nd, once 15.10 is released, we are going to open up the stable branch. We are going to run the pilot and then continue reassessing the effectivity of this process along 15.11 and decide if the maintenance policy could be extended on 16. Awesome. So I see a question from David. It's not about the maintenance policy, but I think that is also fine. So
It's fine.
yeah, Dave, if you wanna
I was
verbalize your
crushing your
question.
AMA just because I'd seen Vladimir had dropped a question, but I wanted to try to make sure you got through your piece of your AMA before doing it. But it was the if your agenda was not too busy, I thought I'd come in and just ask and make sure I clarify because we're all here and I'd seen the discussion. So I just wanted to make sure I gave context on like the whole Loki tempo POC that we're doing. We were adding it because it was one day to add on a small deployment of those two that would help us debug things with Thanos. And I saw interest derived from that, but I just wanted to make sure that like we were doing this as a two-way door decision of like, we could stand this up, see if it helps us and then back it away. I didn't want you all to rely on it if you wanted to bolt something onto it too. So I just that was the biggest context I wanted to make sure was shared, that I hadn't had a chance to add to the issue. And I was going to add to the issue, but then I realized this AMA was going on. I'm like, well, I'll just come and say it too. So is Vladimir the right person to work with, Michele, or should I also work with you? It was just one of those like, how do we help you POC? I just wanted to make sure, because if it sounds useful to you, I want to enable you to do it. Just wanted to make sure it was this could be taken away if we decide it's not the right direction or told like we need a dog food Jaeger or something weird like that. So
yeah, we also had the same question there. So in general, I asked this question because if it was something already in place, we could look into that. I don't think we can make it actually in this quarter because we would actually play that role in one of our OKRs to understand a bit better how we could link together traces, metrics, and logs.
Yeah.
So we don't want to be like kind of the guinea pigs for that and just do all the learnings or just have it for us only. We already have another path how to achieve what we want to achieve there, but on the longer term, having a very good correlation between metrics, logs, and traces in the case when we spot something will be like a very good state where we want to be, and it's going to help us a lot in identifying the various problems we have in pipelines. So, but it's not something that is urgent, but it's good to know the context you just provided now. That is not something that maybe is not going to stay for longer and so on.
Yeah, I guess I just meant like, there's been no readiness review. We're not investing in it in a flavor of like, this is going to be fully highly available and all those things. So if you wanted to POC things, like it's probably safe to do that, but I wouldn't want to rely on it for the solution yet. Give us a quarter. I think that's the whole like observability team just formed. We're just getting direction. So I don't know that this is the decided on direction yet. So I just wanted I'll comment that on the issue, but I was like, I can at least come in and say that.
Thank you.
So you have the context.
For sure. Thanks, Dave.
Definitely. We're also adding Craig back
Greg Barrett back on our team, so we'll have a little better global coverage of people beyond just YP and Nick. So, but at the same time, like if you do at least want to do that POCing, reach out to one of them, and I think we'd be happy to at least try to wire things up so you can see what it looks like. That's where we were with. Does it provide better insight into what's going on with Thanos? Was what we're looking to do. But given that we just added the containers and things last week, we haven't. We're just at the point of getting ready to demo it ourselves to reliability.
Okay, perfect. Maybe if you can also, if you have a demo going on, if you can just loop at least me in, and then I can loop the team in case, it would be great.
Will do.
Thank you.
Awesome, thanks. We don't have more questions on the agenda, but does anyone wants to verbalize a question regarding the maintenance policy or delivery subjects, deployments, and releases? Okay, I'm gonna take that as a no. Well, thank you everyone for coming. If you still have any questions about the maintenance policy, please refer to the engineering announcement issue or post questions on the delivery Slack channel or the releases Slack channel. But yeah, thank you, and I will see you next time.